I've decided to marry my mistress. I was in a traffic accident and had been hospitalized for 2 weeks. Just when I thought my husband finally came to visit, he suddenly showed up with his mistress and stated he will marry her. So, we're getting a divorce. Sign the divorce papers now. My husband, encouraged by his mistress, shoved the divorce papers at me with a smug look on his face. The children came to see me as soon as they heard about the accident. But my husband's actions were unbelievable. He had been neglecting the children and was absent from home because he was spending time with his mistress. I was sick of my husband's irresponsible behavior. When I looked at the divorce papers, all the sections that my husband needed to fill out were already completed. All that was left was for me to write my name and the divorce would be finalized. Then, my son, who was sitting on a chair, stood up. "Dad, you can't divorce Mom. Because the woman over there is." "Huh? What nonsense are you talking about?" My husband raised his voice in disbelief. My son, with a determined look, crossed his arms and continued speaking. "My name is Tracy Morgan. I am 38 years old, and I work in the accounting department at my husband David's company. With my accounting degree, I met David when I was a junior in college and started working part-time at the company where he worked. At that time, David was in his first year and taught me the job as my trainer. Thanks to David's kind guidance, I was able to fit in at the company. And I dated David secretly behind the other employees. However, I got pregnant after dating David for a year. We decided to get married, but both my parents and my in-laws were against it. When I strongly told my parents that I did not want to have an abortion, both they and my in-laws eventually gave in and we were able to marry. After that, I gave birth to 2 children. The first was a reliable girl, Nicole. The second was an energetic boy, Alex. After Nicole was born, both my parents and David helped with taking care of Nicole. Thanks to that, I was able to obtain the accounting degree which I aimed for. And I could continue working at the same company where I was working part-time. However, David suddenly changed after Alex was born. "David, can you change Alex's diaper?" "Ugh, that's annoying. You can do it yourself, can't you?" David became completely uncooperative with taking care of our kids. Even after my maternity leave ended, David's attitude remained unchanged. On the contrary, he started treating me like a servant, busy with kids. However, when my father-in-law was around, my husband behaved maturely. So when my father-in-law came to our house, I could relax a little. When Alex was born, my mother-in-law adored him immensely. She probably thought he would be the heir to take over the company, being a boy. While I was studying at university, I left Nicole's care to my parents. But I decided to participate more in kids' care since Alex was born after I graduated from college. When I was discharged from the hospital after giving birth to Alex, my mother-in-law came to our house. "He's your child, but since he's my son's precious heir, I'll raise him." "But Alex is my child. You got pregnant while you were a student, which makes me feel uneasy. I'll take care of his discipline properly, so leave it to me." My mother-in-law took Alex from my arm and drove off in her car. That night, when David returned home, I told him about the incident with my mother-in-law. "Why don't you leave it to my mom? She's more experienced, and she'll surely raise him well." "But I'm his mother. I don't think Mom will listen to that. If you resist any more, you never know what Mom might say." I was so shocked that my body stiffened. Seeing that, David smirked. When my mother-in-law found out that I told David about our interaction, she went into a rage. "You are trying to isolate me by tattling to David," she exclaimed furiously, wreaking havoc around the house. "This is what I hate the most." So when things didn't go his way, David used this example, saying he will speak to his mom to silence me. Since then, I have been worried about Alex and have been visiting my in-laws' house. It seemed that my mother-in-law was fond of Alex, his room was filled with lots of toys. And Nicole was treated as negligibly as I was. When David asked me to take Nicole and go to my mother-in-law's house, my mother-in-law blatantly made a disgusted face. Come inside. No, I don't need to. I just brought something David asked for, so I'll be leaving now. Come inside. It's an order. Obey. I was reluctantly pulled by the arm by my mother-in-law and entered their house. Once inside my in-laws' house, my mother-in-law started ordering me and Nicole around. Make coffee. It's only natural for a daughter-in-law to do at least this much. Nicole, help your mother quickly. Nicole stopped touching her smartphone and glared at my mother-in-law. What's with that face? She slapped Nicole on the head. Ouch. That isn't abuse. Nicole. Calm down. That was all I could do to soothe Nicole. Nicole came into the kitchen and muttered complaints about my mother-in-law. Both Nicole and Alex knew about the terrible treatment I received from my mother-in-law and David. Nicole understood my situation well because she received the same treatment. And Alex, who is very perceptive, also knew. Mom and Nicole are here too. Alex, long time no see. Grandma, you were bossing Mom around again, weren't you? I could hear it clearly in the hallway. Alex, that's not true. Your eyes are darting around, sounds like a lie to me. Then Alex came into the kitchen and helped me with serving coffee. Alex, thank you as always. This is easy. Alex always rushed over to silence my mother-in-law whenever I visited my in-laws' house. My mother-in-law had to remain silent in front of Alex, her potential heir, as she couldn't show her bad side. It's always something only Alex can do, I think to myself. And Nicole and Alex get along well. They both seem to be into the same cartoon lately, and that's all they talk about. Nicole, who is good at drawing and aspires to be a comic artist, is close enough to Alex to gift him illustrations of characters. And their sibling relationship is really good. Welcome home. Oh, Tracy and Nicole are here today too. Make yourselves comfortable. Thank you, Father. My father-in-law is kind to us and often gives Nicole sweets. Although Nicole dislikes her grandmother, she is quite fond of her grandfather. It seems my parents have heard about my relationship with my in-laws from Nicole. And they have told me that I can come back home anytime. My parents have been saying this for about 5 years now. That comment was what made me consider divorcing David. But my mother-in-law will desperately try to take custody of Alex. And Alex's custody would likely go to David. Custody should prioritize Alex's will, but there is also a possibility that it could go to David. So I am hesitant about divorcing. Since then, Nicole has become a high school student, and I have been living busy days. Then, a call came from David. In the middle of a weekday, could it have been an accident? Hello, what's up? Why are you calling at this time? Dad passed away. Your father? He seemed well when we met last time. It seems his chronic illness suddenly worsened. Anyway, Mom is worried, so could you hurry to the family home? Of course. At this time, even David seemed to be panicking, his tone more frantic than usual. I immediately headed to my in-laws' house to pick up my mother-in-law. She seemed to be in quite a shock as well, hardly having any energy to boss me around as usual. I assisted with the preparations for my father-in-law's funeral and had hectic days. I had no time to be considerate of Nicole and Alex, but they actively helped me. Tracy, I found the will. Let's see, the next president of the company is David. I'm so happy. Being the mother of the president is something to be proud of. With a condescending look, my mother-in-law said this. Having no time to deal with my mother-in-law, I hurriedly continued preparing for my father-in-law's funeral. After the funeral was over, calm days returned once again. Since becoming a company executive, David has started not coming home. You're not coming home this weekend either? It can't be helped. A president is busy with business trips and such. But I heard that your father hardly ever went on business trips when he was president. I have to greet our business partners since there's a new president now. Such greetings are common sense, necessity. Although there were oddities in David's words, I didn't have the energy to press further. So I kept silent. And the amount of affection my mother-in-law poured into Alex only increased. Alex used to visit my house on weekends, but that stopped. According to Alex, my mother-in-law made the curfew stricter and prohibited him from visiting my house. For Alex, who had just become a middle school student and whose social circle was expanding, this was very tough, and he seemed to be defiant towards my mother-in-law. However, my mother-in-law took Alex's defiance as a twisted form of love and bound him even more tightly to her rules. Alex seemed troubled by his relationship with my mother-in-law and called Nicole every month. 2 years after my father-in-law's funeral, Alex became a senior in middle school, and Nicole was in her second year of high school. One day, I received a call from my parents and brother, saying they were moving. My parents and brother would live in an apartment near my house, so that we could help each other in case something happened. That day, David returned home for the first time in 4 days, and I told him about this news. Huh? That useless unemployed is going to live near our house? There's a new apartment building across the street, right? They're going to live on the 5th floor there. An apartment. I've heard rents are quite high in this area. Why would your unemployed brother live there? He must be living off parents, right? It seems better for him to become independent and live on his own. While drinking beer, David kept disparaging my brother. Even though my brother wasn't there, I thought the insults were too harsh. The alcohol probably made his words even harsher. Thanks to this, I understood how David really felt about my brother. If he looked down not only on me but also on my family, then there was no point in continuing to love him. Finally, I decided to divorce. However, if it comes to a divorce, I must ensure that I can take custody of Alex. Something like substantial evidence that could silence my mother-in-law. As I was thinking of a way, my brother's face came to mind. I immediately called him. Hello, brother? I need a little help. Are you free right now? I'm free now. What's up? Is it about your divorce with David? My brother quickly understood what I wanted to say. When I explained the plan, he immediately agreed to help. An opportunity to vent my long-held frustrations had arrived, and I was excited. 2 weeks later, while I was cycling home, something happened. As I was crossing a pedestrian crosswalk where few people were passing, I heard the sound of a car's brakes. After that, I lost consciousness. The next memory I have is being in the hospital. Ms. Morgan, have you woken up? That's great, you've regained consciousness. Sorry, why am I in the hospital? Actually, you were involved in a traffic accident. We received a call from a witness and an ambulance brought you here. A traffic accident. Could it be the small crosswalk in the residential area on 2nd Street? Yes, it's rare to have an accident there. Who was involved in the accident? They haven't found the person yet. According to a witness, it was a hit and run, and the police are currently investigating. Then, the door to the hospital room creaked open. Mom. Are you okay? I'm fine. I'm glad. But your face is covered in gauze. I've never seen you with so many injuries before. Thank you, Alex and Nicole, for coming all the way here. You must be on your way home from school, right? Don't worry about me, go home and study. Alex was looking around curiously. Nicole said, he looks like a cat that just came home for the first time, and chuckled. Despite looking a bit displeased, Alex asked me something. Where's Dad? Hasn't he come yet? Your father hasn't come yet, but I'm okay, really. After talking with me for a while, Alex and Nicole went home. The X-ray showed a broken leg. But I was told I could recover without major complications with rehabilitation. So I began my treatment. Nicole and Alex, who seemed to have arranged to meet after school, visited me every day. Sometimes they brought chocolate snacks, which I loved, helping me get through the tough treatment. 2 weeks after being hospitalized. While Nicole and Alex were making the hospital room lively, quiet footsteps approached. The door rattled open, and there was David. Oh, Tracy, this looks pretty bad. Fractures are just pathetic. David. At that moment, I was speechless. Next to David stood a woman with a prominent belly. The woman, who seemed to be pregnant, was stroking her stomach. Who is the woman next to you? Let me introduce her, this is Mandy, my girlfriend. Nice to meet you, I'm Mandy. I've been with David for a long time. The woman who appeared to be his mistress smirked condescendingly at me. Why bring her here? What's going on? I've decided to marry Mandy. So, Tracy, it's divorce for us. Sign the divorce papers now. Wow, David, you're the best. Encouraged by his mistress, David presented the divorce papers to me with a triumphant look. The section of the divorce papers David needed to fill out was already complete. All that was left was for me to sign my name to finalize the divorce. Then, Alex, who had been sitting, stood up. Dad, you can't divorce Mom. Because Mandy here is already married. Huh? What did you say? David exclaimed in a ridiculous voice. The mistress awkwardly turned her eyes away from David. Plus, this woman is a marriage scammer. So, Dad, marrying her won't work, and I think she'll end up conning you out of your money. You knew, didn't you? The mistress fled the hospital room as if escaping. After a while, we could hear her shouting from outside the room. I had arranged with Alex to have the police wait near the hospital, so that we could smoothly hand over the mistress to the police after the whole ordeal. David collapsed to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Having boasted so much before, his current state looked pitiful. How did you guys know about this? Actually, I hired a detective agency to investigate you, David. That's how I found out you had a mistress and that Mandy here is a marriage scammer. To think they could find out all this, the detective agency is really something. What a mess. Actually, the call to my brother was to find a detective agency. He's an investor and owns stocks in various companies. I thought he would know a reliable detective agency to recommend. So, it's divorce, right? I'll sign the divorce papers now, so check them when I'm done. Wait. Please don't go through with the divorce. You were the one who mentioned divorce first, weren't you? Ignoring what David said, I signed the divorce papers. Also, the detective agency called earlier. And it seems that Mandy might have been the one who hit you with the car. They said she was trying to kill you and collect the insurance money. She's really a gold digger, only sees money. Stupid, really. David's face suddenly turned red, perhaps irritated by Nicole's statement. Mandy did. I didn't know anything about that. Then, the door rattled open, and the police appeared. Excuse me, but could you tell us more about this matter? The police. I don't know anything, it's useless to ask me. We'll discuss this at the station. Could you come with us? Let go. I'm not involved. David's resistance was futile, and he was taken to the police station. Later, I heard from the police the entire story. As the detective agency had found out, the mistress had indeed tried to run me over, making it look like an accident. The mistress was arrested for marriage fraud and my accident. David was reportedly pale when he heard this from the police. It seemed he realized he had gotten involved with a really dangerous woman. After I was discharged, I told David that I would be submitting the divorce papers. He didn't resist, and thanks to his agreement, I was able to smoothly file for divorce and gain custody. Though he agreed to pay alimony and child support in a lump sum, David never paid. I tried contacting him, but he just read my messages and ignored them. I wondered what I should do next. After filing the divorce papers, I took Alex and Nicole and went back to my parents' house. When I explained the situation, they said I could stay until I found a new job and was able to support the three of us. Our family home is close to my house, so Nicole and Alex were able to continue going to their schools without needing to transfer. For a while, I was busy looking for a new job. But life was significantly easier without David and my mother-in-law around. About 2 weeks after returning home, the doorbell rang. My mother said, "Maybe it's a delivery," and went to check the intercom. "Tracy." "It's David and his mother." "I wonder what happened." "Mom, I'll go." "It's okay." "Mom, are you sure? Should I come too?" Alex, who was studying in the living room for his high school entrance exams, looked worried. Next to him, Nicole, who was drawing an illustration, also looked over curiously. "It's fine, this will be quick." I quickly went to the front door. "You're slow, what were you dawdling for?" "Sorry. Tracy, it's been a while. I never thought you'd be at your parents' house." "It's been a while, David. You've become quite slovenly, haven't you?" David's clothes were wrinkled, and his hair was tousled as if he had just gotten out of bed. Since I always did the housework, he probably didn't know how to wash or iron his clothes. "What brings you to my parents' house all of a sudden?" "Give back Alex. He is the important heir to our company." "Mother-in-law. Please don't shout all of a sudden. Alex is the heir. He's a necessary child to me. I am already divorced from David, and I have custody. So, mother-in-law, you have no right to live with Alex. You woman. You did all this just to separate me from Alex. That's the lowest." My mother-in-law tried to attack me. David tried to stop her by force, but despite being in her 70s, she thrashed about wildly in David's arms. "Tracy, what's all this noise about?" I could hear everything from my room. "Brother. Ah. If it isn't Tracy's ex-husband and mother-in-law." "Hello? Oh, why are you here? What does this mean?" My mother-in-law, looking surprised, quickly began greeting my brother in a subservient manner. David appeared confused, not understanding why his mother was acting so differently towards my brother. "David, you greet too." "Why should I? This man is a major shareholder in our company." "What? I never heard about that." David, flustered, began greeting like his mother. The realization that the person they had been ridiculing was a major shareholder must have been quite a shock. "By the way, Mr. President, I heard from my sister that you've been funneling company funds to your mistress." "What's that about?" "Company money." "I don't know anything about that. I haven't done anything like embezzlement." "I have evidence. Shall I show it to you now?" My brother showed David the documents he was holding. The documents included details of money being withdrawn from the company account and handed to his mistress. Wasn't the president's mistress a marriage fraudster? Using company money on a fraudster must be bad if it gets out, right? Well, it's already out. Hey, did you spread rumors around the neighborhood? I don't do such underhanded things. However, your scandal has been turned into a comic and is circulating online. Saying this, my brother showed David the comic posted on social media. And David's face turned even paler. The comic's artist was Nicole, who had been turning my story into comics and sharing them on social media since returning home. It was quite a hit and had even been picked up by online news outlets. Although the characters' appearances were slightly camouflage, Nicole's drawings were so good that people close to us speculated that the model for the husband was David. As a result, David's company's reputation had suffered. This matter will be discussed at the board meeting next week. So, David, you better prepare to be fired. This can't be happening. Also, make sure to transfer the alimony and child support by next week, okay? Understood. Then, about the board's recommendations, can we withdraw them? As if that proposal would ever be accepted. David retreated behind his mother with a tearful look. My mother-in-law then stepped forward, puffing out her chest and glaring at me. What about Alex? He's coming back to live with us, right? Can you be quiet? I can't concentrate on my studies. Alex opened a window and peered out. Seeing him, my mother-in-law's face brightened, and she bounced up and down like a rabbit. I have more fun living with Mom, and I have no intention of going back. Besides, we're strangers since the divorce, right? If you keep making noise, I'll call the police. The mention of the police struck a nerve with David, who quickly rushed his mother into the car. Although my mother-in-law was still making a scene, David managed to get her into the car quickly, avoiding further trouble. After that, David and my former mother-in-law never appeared in front of us again. The following week, David's dismissal was confirmed at the board meeting. As expected, David stepped down as a director and left the company. Afterwards, I left David's company and started working at a company introduced by my brother. Thanks to the qualifications I had from college and my past experience, I am earning a better salary than at my previous company. As for the compensation and child support, David transferred the money to my account promptly. He also had to take out a loan to repay the money he embezzled from the company. David was searching for a new job, but due to the influence of Nicole's comic, he was rejected at every company he applied to after the document screening. David ended up having to do physical labor, working desperately. The shock of losing Alex caused his mother to develop dementia, and her condition is worsening. Since David is the only one available, he is having a tough time juggling work and caring for his mother. Meanwhile, Alex passed the entrance exam for his first-choice high school and is enjoying his high school life. As his life with his grandmother was quite restrictive, I'm allowing him as much freedom as possible to hang out with friends. He joined the basketball club and is balancing his studies with sports. Also, Nicole's social media comic essay is set to be published as a book. Nicole has become a well-known emerging manga artist thanks to social media, and is currently a celebrity. Becoming a manga artist has been a big step towards fulfilling her dream, and she was truly happy when she heard about the book deal. Despite my initial concerns about David and his mother's blatant sexism possibly hindering Nicole and Alex's development, it seems my worries were unfounded. Both of them are achieving their dreams and growing into respectable adults, and I am fully supporting them while working